The surrogate betrayal. I used to believe love could survive anything. 6 years of marriage taught me otherwise. Lisa was my world, my wife, my partner, my peace. We built a life that looked perfect from the outside. 3 beautiful children, a quiet suburban home, the smell of dinner filling the kitchen every evening. For a long time, I thought that was happiness. But sometimes, betrayal doesn't come as screaming arguments or cheating texts. Sometimes, it comes disguised as a selfless act. It started one night, quiet, ordinary, deceptive. We were sitting on the couch, the twins asleep, the TV glowing faintly in the dark. Lisa looked at me and said, "Grant, there's something I've decided to do." Something in her tone froze my blood. Lisa only used that calm voice when she was about to drop a bomb. "I'm going to be Sarah's surrogate," she said. Sarah, her twin sister, married to Kevin, a man I'd never fully trusted. At first, I thought I'd misheard. Then the words sank in like a knife. "You're what?" I asked. She didn't blink. "Sarah can't have kids. We share the same DNA, so I'm the best candidate. I've already talked to the clinic. Everything's set." My mouth went dry. "You already started? Without even asking me?" She nodded. "I knew you'd react like this. But it's my body, my choice. Sarah and Kevin need me." There it was, Kevin, the name that suddenly made my chest tighten with rage. "You discussed this with him?" I asked. "Yes," she said simply. "He's the father of the embryo, of course." That was the moment something in me snapped. Not from jealousy, from violation. She hadn't just betrayed me emotionally, she'd erased me from her decision. "You've made your choice," I said, my voice shaking. "But understand this, if you go through with it, you'll destroy this marriage." She crossed her arms. "Then maybe we weren't as strong as I thought." And just like that, the woman I thought I knew became a stranger. The following weeks were a blur of cold silence and growing resentment. She filled our home with medical kits, syringes, instructions from the fertility clinic. She treated it like a routine errand, like we were discussing grocery lists, not her carrying another man's child. 2 nights later, I came home to find her preparing hormone injections. I asked her to stop. She didn't even look up. "Grant," she said, "you don't have to like it. You just have to live with it." That was the night I decided not to. While she planned the surrogacy, I planned my exit. Lawyers, finances, custody, everything quietly set in motion. If she wanted independence, I'd give it to her in full, brutal measure. When I filed for divorce, she finally exploded. "How dare you!" she screamed, slamming the papers on the table. "How dare you," I said calmly, "make life-altering decisions behind my back and expect me to clap for you?" Tears filled her eyes, but they didn't move me. That's the thing about betrayal. Once the switch flips, empathy dies with it. Months passed. Lisa's stomach grew with the weight of Kevin's child, and our house turned into a silent war zone. She stayed because she had nowhere else to go, but we lived like ghosts haunting the same walls. Then came the day Kevin and Sarah showed up, baby catalogs in hand, sitting in my living room. Kevin smiled nervously. "Just planning a few things for the baby," he said. I stared at him until he looked away. "Then plan them somewhere else." Lisa jumped in. "They're family, Grant. You're being unreasonable." "Unreasonable?" I said. "You turned my home into their nursery. You're carrying his child, and I'm supposed to offer you a foot rub?" Sarah's face flushed with anger. "We're just trying to make this easy for everyone." I laughed. "Easy ended the day you all made me the last to know." That was the last time Kevin dared show up uninvited. The pregnancy dragged on. Lisa complained of back pain, morning sickness, exhaustion. She wanted sympathy. I gave her silence. "Grant," she begged one night, "could you bring me water? My legs are cramping." I looked at her coldly. Ask Kevin, he's the father. Her face fell. You're heartless. I nodded. That's what happens when you cut a man open and call it love. When she went into labor, she pounded on my door at midnight, sobbing, "Grant, please, my water broke. Kevin's not answering. I need to dough now." I stared at her, terrified, shaking, sweat on her forehead. And for a split second, I remembered the woman who once smiled at me in that hallway years ago. Then the memory faded. "Call an ambulance," I said flatly, and shut the door. The sirens came 15 minutes later. As the lights flashed outside, I stood by the window, watching her leave. My heart was silent. My revenge had already begun. Weeks later, she returned home with the baby, Kevin and Sarah's baby. She said Sarah was sick, Kevin was overwhelmed, and she had to help out. I just stared at the infant, a living, breathing monument to her betrayal. "Keep it quiet," I said. "My children don't need to lose more sleep over your mistakes." Her eyes filled with tears. "Have you always been this cruel?" I smiled faintly. "Only since you taught me how." By the time the divorce hearing came, Lisa looked hollow, exhausted, regretful, and utterly defeated. Her lawyer tried painting me as a cold man who abandoned his pregnant wife. But facts cut deeper than tears. She forged my signature. She drained our joint accounts for the procedure. She carried another man's child against my will. The judge ruled in my favor. Primary custody of our 3 children. No spousal support. No responsibility for the surrogacy. As the gavel fell, Lisa broke. Tears streamed down her face. Kevin and Sarah sat motionless. She whispered to me outside the courtroom, "I never thought you'd let it end like this." I looked at her one last time and said, "You wanted freedom, Lisa. Now live with it." And I walked away, not triumphant, but cleansed. Today she lives with her mother, struggling to rebuild a life she destroyed herself. Kevin and Sarah have their baby, but not the peace they expected. And I have my children, my dignity, and silence. Because sometimes the most satisfying revenge isn't destruction, it's absence. Letting the betrayer drown in the consequences of their own choices, while you watch from the shore, finally free.